Men, where have you gone? Please come back. So many men have retreated from intimacy, hiding behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas, dabbling and scrolling. We miss you. May 17th. A warm Saturday night in Wicker Park, a vibrant stretch of Chicago where 7 restaurants crowd a single block. Troy and I were having dinner at Mama Delia, one of the quieter spots. The sidewalk patio held 5 tables, 3 two-tops, including ours, and a pair pulled together for a group of 8 women. At those tables, Troy was the only man. The scene was beautiful. Low lights, shared plates, shoulders angled in. The kind of evening people wait for all winter. Still, I found myself watching the crowd as it moved past us. Women walking in pairs or alone, dressed with care. At table after table at the nearby restaurants, there was a noticeable absence of men, at least of men seated in what looked like. Troy and I have known each other for almost 20 years. We met at Playboy, of all places, back when we were both learning how desire gets packaged, sold, and sometimes misunderstood. We stayed close friends, bonded not just by our opinions, but by the effort it takes to stay in someone's life. That night, we made the effort. Still, what I saw unfolding around us felt like something else entirely. A collective shift I couldn't unsee. It started to become clear the previous April, when a man who had been pursuing me cancelled a dinner at the last minute. There was a scheduling mix-up with his son's game. I understood. I'm a hockey mom. I get it. Still, I went. I wore what I would have worn anyway. I took the table. I ordered well. And I watched the room. Only 2 tables nearby seemed to hold actual dates. The rest were groups of women, or women alone, each one occupying her space with quiet confidence. No shrinking. No waiting. No apologizing. That night marked something. Not a heartbreak, but an unveiling. A sense that what I'd been experiencing wasn't just personal misalignment. It was something broader. Cultural. A slow vanishing of presence. I spent over a decade behind the curtain of digital desire. As the custodian of records for Playboy and its affiliated hardcore properties, including sites like Spice TV, I was responsible for some of the most infringed upon adult content in the world. I worked closely with copyright attorneys and marketing teams to understand exactly what it took to get a man to pay for content he could easily find for free. We knew what worked. We knew how to frame a face, a gesture, a moment of implication, just enough to ignite fantasy and open a wallet. I came to understand, in exact terms, what cues tempt the average 18 to 36-year-old cis heterosexual man. What drew him in? What kept him coming back? It wasn't intimacy. It wasn't mutuality. It was access to stimulation. Clean, fast, and frictionless. In that world, there's no need for conversation. No effort. No curiosity. No reciprocity. No one's feelings to consider, no vulnerability to navigate. Just a closed loop of consumption. What struck me most wasn't the extremity of the content. It was the emotional vacancy behind it. The drift. The way many men had quietly withdrawn from intimacy and vulnerability. Not with violence or resistance, but with indifference. They weren't sitting across from someone on a Saturday night, trying to connect. They were scrolling, dabbling, disappearing behind firewalls, filters, and curated personas. And while they disappeared, women continued to gather, to tend, to notice who wasn't arriving, and to show up anyway. I'm 54. I've been dating since the mid-80s. Been married, been a mother, gotten divorced. Had many relationships, long and short. I remember when part of heterosexual male culture involved showing up with a woman to signal something. Status, success, desirability. Women were once signifiers of value, even to other men. It wasn't always healthy, but it meant that men had to show up and put in some effort. That dynamic has quietly collapsed. We have moved into an era where many men no longer seek women to impress other men or to connect across difference. They perform elsewhere, alone. They filtered us out. I recently experienced a flicker of possibility with James. We met on Raya, the dating app. There was something mutual from the start. Wordplay, emotional precision, a tone that felt attuned. It was brief, but it caught light. I remember saying to him, even fleeting connections matter when they're mutual and lit from the inside. I meant it. There was just enough spark to wonder what might unfold. Enough curiosity to imagine a doorway. But he didn't step through it. Not with a plan. Not with presence. He hovered, flirting, retreating, offering warmth but no direction. Sexual tension and a spark aren't reason enough to sit still and hope there's substance behind the shimmer. So I named what I felt. I texted him clearly, with care. Not simply to declare attraction, but to extend a real invitation to explore what was possible. I didn't chase. I invited, leaving the door open. If he ever wanted to cross the threshold, not just to take, but to meet, I was willing. I wanted. I still do. He never replied. He still follows my Instagram stories. One of those small gestures of passive engagement that so many of us now mistake for closeness. It looks like interest. It feels like silence.